Hi, I'm Jack Turner. I'm a retired entrepreneur from Southwest Missouri. I'm 86 years of age, and the exciting thing about it is I have never had a paycheck. I have always worked for myself. And because of that, there's been many ups and downs through my lifetime experience. I was born in 1930 during a terrible depression of the 30s. Financial issues were absolutely horrible, and with extreme difficulty, we did survive and make it. After a period of time, my activities began to become more successful, and I'd just like to pause here and tell you something, that we were on a farm, and we had a mama hog that had a whole lot of baby pigs, and she had more pigs than she had dinner plates, one of which was extremely small, and it was going to be a runt, and my dad said it's going to die. And here I am, just a young child, and my father said, "Son, why don't you take that pig and make a pet out of it?" And you know, I did, and that pig survived. It grew up, and the first thing you knew, I got to sell my pig, and it paid for my brand new bicycle. And as I look back now, I realize that I became an entrepreneur at a very young age, because now then, what else can I do? And I began to look forward to opportunities to have some cows and some more pigs and so forth. And with this driving force within me, the first thing you know, on the farm I had saved my money, and I had $100 in cash. And I don't know, I was probably 14 or something like that. My father said, "Son, with that $100, I think I could buy you 10 sheep to put with my sheep." And I thought, wow, that's a good idea. And so I got my sheep, and we shared the wool, and I got the money. That's all right. And then the next thing that happened, I had lambs, and I didn't have 10 lambs. I had a whole lot of lambs because they had twins. And wow, when I sold my lambs, I got a whole lot more than my $100 back. So now then, that is absolutely a real winner for me, and I became inspired at that point. What can I do to acquire additional livestock and so forth? My father did make it possible for that to happen. And now that I'd like to go ahead and say that eventually I began to make enough money, and I had only one car, one of the only two cars in our whole high school. And guess what? Don't you think I didn't have a lot of fun? One problem, I forgot about school. And when I got ready to graduate, I had had so much fun, my teacher says, "You're not going to graduate." And what can I do? It scared me. I didn't know what to think. And she gave me an assignment of work. If you'll hand it in to me after the graduation ceremony is over, I will give you the smallest grade, which will give you a credit and make it possible for you to graduate. Now then, guess what? I thought that's a pretty good deal. Frankly, I wasn't sure I'd even do it. But you know what? That teacher passed away before I got that accomplished. Now then, let me go ahead and tell you this. I have always had a driving desire to be successful. And all of a sudden, when I realized that I nearly flunked out of school, well, I need to do something about that. I began to try to improve everything I was involved in, especially in the farm. And I studied everything I could for the agricultural university of our state, and I became somewhat successful in the management of our farm. And time goes on, and all of a sudden we have a very difficult event happen. All of a sudden, in the 50s, we had droughts, we had grasshoppers, we had bugs, we had floods. It was terrible, and all of a sudden, I became discouraged, and I would like to do something else. And guess what? Because I'd almost flunked out of high school, my father had told me there's a couple of things that I'd only be able to do because of my lack of knowledge and my experiences in school. And you know what? That made me angry and put a driving force in me. And momentarily, of all things, I get drafted for the Korean War. And when I got out, I was somewhat convinced maybe he's right. Maybe I cannot accomplish things that will help me to go forward in my vocational life. So I did quite well in the military, and I got out, and I've got to enroll in a university. Well, when I enrolled in the university, guess what? I flunked all the entrance exams. Now what? I had to take remedial courses, not for credit. And my wife, I can recall sitting in a bathtub while she'd be teaching me spelling words and teaching me things of that nature, you know. But with determination, I did eventually find myself able to enroll in college and at the Missouri University there. And one of the courses that I ran into was retail merchandising. And the first thing you know, we had acquired a small Ben Franklin store. It's a dime store. In other words, a very tiny Walmart type store. And guess what? Time I paid all my bills, I had almost no money left. What am I going to do? I have no money, but yet I was able to get 100% loans, and we did move forward in the store. I remember it was so complicated financially that we literally raised our 3 daughters on bologna sandwiches and peanut butter. And but the thing about it was, I had now proved to myself that knowledge is a very valuable thing, because now I'm studying how I can be a better retailer, how I can be a better in every area of my life, and I have developed the phrase that knowledge is power. And so I began to be hungry for anything that would relate to improvement in my awareness. And I discovered rather, that I had rather go to school as I had to work. So I began taking courses not for credit. I began to enroll in every conference, in every issue where there would be an opportunity for learning. And eventually I became a landlord, and I joined all the conferences that I could find in organizations, associations, any way I can do to accomplish more knowledge. And I want to tell people right away, my lack of knowledge in my beginning days was a very terrible thing to me, and as I begin to go forward, then I have developed a passion, if you please, because I have experienced both sides, and I am encouraging people, if you please, to acquire knowledge. Join every conference you can, and to be an entrepreneur or a person who is able to go forward, you must acquire information and knowledge to be a better person. And this, I made a discovery. All of these issues that I'm talking about, I suddenly found they were actually in my Bible. In the book of Proverbs, I was surprised to see that book was telling me how to be successful. And I began to read my Bible, and as I did, I began to find out that it was telling me acquire knowledge, to be a person of integrity, to guard your finances, to seek counsel. And one thing it even warned me about, do not co-sign for anyone unless you're willing to pay the bill. My point is this: the more knowledge I have acquired, the more opportunity I have to serve people.